Hi, welcome to valuationpodcast.com, a podcast and video series about all things related to business and valuation. My name is Melissa Gregg. I'm a financial expert witness in St. Louis, Missouri. During this episode, we will discuss some of the top questions regarding divorce and business valuations. Another question that we have is, do I have to file for divorce or are there other options? So there's a lot of different ways that you can get divorced. Typically, you could sit down now with your spouse and say, okay, we agree that you stay in the house and I'll keep this car and, I'll keep the business and I'll pay you $5,000 a month for the next 3 years for maintenance or alimony. And you sit down and it's kind of called a kitchen table because essentially what the couple is doing is sitting down and just talking through all of the issues that they have. And if they can come to an agreement, then they can go ahead and they're done. If there are issues, which traditionally, if you're getting divorced, there are communication issues. Potentially, there could be financial issues, there could be relationship or communication issues, and there could be issues related to the kids. So another option is if you agree to most of the things, but there may be a few things that you need to talk through, or you have a hard time communicating with your spouse, then you could call in a mediator. Now, a mediator could be an attorney, it could be a former judge, it could be a financial person, it could be a mental health person. There's not a lot of rules around mediation, and so there's a lot of different ways that you can go about it. Most of the time, they need some significant training in order to mediate something, whether it be a family issue or a kid issue. But what the mediator is there to do is not really solve your problems, but to actually help you talk through them so that you can come up with some solutions. And it really is to facilitate that the couple comes up with those solutions, not necessarily the mediator. And then you could write up everything in a memo of understanding or some type of document. Again, mediation is not binding, which means that you guys can go to mediation, you can agree to some things, but the reality is if both of you walk away and you don't like that, you don't have to agree to it. But the mediator does try to put everything in writing and have it so that you can take that memo to an attorney in order to file your divorce in the court system. So just because you do some of these methods doesn't mean that you're not going to have to deal with an attorney. One of you is still going to need to file all the paperwork for the divorce, even if you've agreed to all of the things that you've been talking about. One additional thing, so mediation is just typically one mediator. I do a lot of co-mediation. So I'll work with an attorney or mental health professional, and I'll come in and help with the business valuation or the financial aspects. What are your expenses going forward? What is the income going forward? And what is your list of assets and debts? And so we'll talk through some of those types of things. An additional option that people are not as familiar with is called collaborative divorce. And there's a couple different variations on collaborative divorce. One is each person in the couple gets an attorney. So there's 2 attorneys, 2 spouses, and then there's usually somebody called a financial neutral that comes in and does everything that I've just described, look at the financial picture of the couple. And then there is traditionally a 1 coach or 2 coaches. So there could be 1 coach for each party, or there's a coach kind of in the middle. And typically it is a mental health professional, so a therapist, a psychologist, but their role isn't really to provide therapy to the couple, but their role is to facilitate the discussions, to kind of lead the couple through this process. And it's more structured mediation essentially, but there's also another significant thing involved with collaborative divorce, which is both couple both parties determine that they will commit to this process and they will not go to court. And if they do fall out of the collaborative divorce process, then they have to go hire new attorneys, a new financial expert. Everybody has to be hired, and the people that they were working with in the collaborative process can no longer work with them. So in some cases, this will really help the parties get to the end because they don't have that capability of just stopping the process like mediation. But in other situations, if they get to something that they just can't resolve, they may have to then hire other attorneys and go to court. The final process is litigation, which is what we traditionally know as you file your papers. Everything is communicated through the attorneys. You get a trial date, you do depositions, and it's kind of fighting or disagreeing on most concepts. And you need really somebody, a judge. In some states, they may have a jury, but most of the time you have a judge coming in and saying, okay, this is what's going to be appropriate. A lot of times in litigation, people are not in control of the process. So in mediation and collaborative divorce, you are more in control because you're stating some of the issues that you have. You know, maybe there are 100 reasons why you want to keep the main house or the marital home. The judge may or may not care. If you guys can't agree, maybe it's going to be sold and you guys will just split the equity. So, and then in litigation, it doesn't mean that you can't settle it. There's a lot of negotiations and settlement discussions in a divorce at all stages. But traditionally, there are some big issues or communication issues that don't allow the parties to really discuss the options and like settlement negotiations together. So they need some help. So a lot of times these discussions are facilitated through the attorneys, and they come in and provide some information to each party, and they then develop settlement offers. And so there could be, you know, I keep the house, you keep the lake home, and we split the cars and we split all the bank accounts. You know, there could be offers. There are some financial issues that complicate that. You know, when you have sophisticated financial instruments, if somebody has stock options and things like that, it could be more complicated. But most of the time you do have other options other than just going to court. But traditionally, people will sit down with an attorney or financial person and talk through some of those options to see what is the best for that particular couple.